Hey guys, this is Ryan from On Mission, and I am a Christ-following, book-loving wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. So if you want to see all things biblical womanhood, homeschool, and book related, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so that you can know every time we upload a new video. And today I am joining in a collaboration hosted by Jen over at Our Tiny Kingdom. And I met Jen through the Homeschooling YouTubers Facebook page. So if you are a homeschool mom who makes content here on YouTube, be sure to go check that out. It is a great group that has given me lots of encouragement for my homeschool journey and my YouTube journey. So she wanted to do a collaboration, which I think is a great idea, talking about how, yes, you can homeschool. And we live in a very weird time this last, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 months, however long it's been. And I think there are a lot of people considering homeschool that have never considered it before. There are some people who have kind of been pushed into it. I know school is going to look a lot different all across our country this year. And now more than ever, we're getting questions about how on earth do you homeschool? People are terrified by this idea. People are annoyed at this idea. And I mean, I get it. But I think it is important to let every mom know, every dad know that it is possible. And that, in my opinion, if it's what has been laid before you, then it's God's call for you to do it, and He will equip you to do it. I've been reading a book called Homeschool Bravely, and it is amazing. You should check it out for sure. But in the beginning of it, it talks about how not everyone would say they're called to homeschool. It's just what they kind of have to do. And that is very applicable to this next year. There's some of you who may never have ever thought about homeschooling, and now all of a sudden you're being forced to, or you're choosing to for whatever reason. Well, the fact that you can call it what you want, but this book was talking about how if you are considering homeschooling and you're going to do it, then God called you to it because God's sovereign. And so if He has brought you here, then He's called you to do it. And so He will equip you and He will make a way for you. So I was going to talk a little bit about my situation for those of you who may not know. I am, like I said, a stay-at-home mom to 3 boys. And I do not work outside the home, but I do YouTube full-time, and I, am involved in church and our co-ops and all these different things. And I'm going to tell you what things I don't have that a lot of people think you have to homeschool. And these are the reasons why a lot of people say they could never homeschool. And I'm here to tell you, I don't have these things, and guess what? I homeschool. So I do not have any teaching degree. I am not independently wealthy by any means. I do not have a nanny or any sort of child care at all. I do not have saint-like patience, and I'm actually not crazy. Because I know a lot of people say you would have to be crazy to homeschool. And maybe I am crazy, but it's a good kind of crazy if I am. So how can I homeschool if I don't have a teaching degree? If I know nothing about teaching, how can I teach? First thing I always say is that if you love your kids, you can teach them because you'll make it work. You'll find a way because you love them. And a lot of times for me, that looks like learning alongside them. I've said this before, I knew nothing about Latin before I started teaching my kids Latin, but guess what? I'm learning it right along with them. And that's okay. You don't have to be an expert on a subject to teach it. You just have to be willing to learn it. And I mean, hello, we live in a technology-driven society, and Google is at your fingertips at all times. Now, given not everything on Google should be taken as truth, but you have lots of resources. You have libraries, and you can always go and find people who do know a lot about a certain subject. If you don't want to learn calculus along with your high schooler, I completely understand because I don't want to either. But that is where tutors can come in. That is where dual enrollment can come in, where they can have, college teaching them, college professors teaching them. There are so many different ways you can go about it. And there are streaming services that will teach your kids online so that you wouldn't have to learn something that you have absolutely no interest in learning. So the second thing I hear a lot of people say is, how can you afford that? How can you afford not to work? Well, my husband has a decent job. We, like I said, are not making tons of money. But for the last several years, we've just committed that homeschool is important to us. Being home with my boys and loving them and investing into their lives and into their childhoods, that's worth it to us. That's worth the momentary not getting to do XYZ, but we financially make it just fine. I also want to take this time to remind you that there are tons of moms who also work and homeschool. They can work at home, but moms also can work outside of the home and homeschool. That's the beautiful thing about homeschool, is that it doesn't have to happen between the hours of 8 and 3. It can happen on weekends, it can happen in the evenings, whenever you need it to. We have to budget. We have to say no to some things, but never to the big things. We simply have to say no to eating out sometimes. We have to say no to a bigger house sometimes, as much as I would like one. We say no to the nicest cars and new clothes and whatever, but we do not go without ever, because like I said, God will make a way if He has called you to do something. And something this has really made me learn is that we value people and we value time a lot more than things. And I think that's the way it should be. So, would it be better if we both worked financially? Sure. Would it be worth it? No. I wouldn't trade this for anything. So, why are all the wealth and all the, picket fence and everything for what? I don't know. Anyway, I digress. So third, I have no nanny or no babysitting help. Of course, if I want to go on a date night, I have a sister I can call. I have a friend that would help me out. But as far as a regular person who takes care of my kids, no, we don't have that. So how do I do this? Well, I schedule wisely, and that is something that, time is precious, and yes, you can overschedule yourself to death. But I think for me, I use block scheduling, and that kind of keeps me on task throughout the day, and that makes it to where I am sure to, get time in with my little toddler and get the school done and get some chores done. And, sometimes it doesn't all get done, and that's totally fine. I've had to kind of give up on that perfection. My husband's not going to come home every day to a perfectly clean house with school done and dinner on the table and everyone having a smile on their face. But he will come home to a decently clean house and dinner at least somewhere in the process of being cooked. And he'll come home to kids who have been poured into and a family who has been exposed to the gospel. So, you just kind of have to reorder your priorities to make this work. But again, so worth it. Let's see. I do not have saint-like patience. And this one is the one I probably hear the most. I don't have the patience to homeschool. And I've already made videos about this. I will link that one up above. But I don't have saint-like patience, but I have a God who freely gives good gifts to people who are seeking Him and doing His will. And so He helps me have enough patience. And sometimes I fail and really blow it. But there's grace for that, and there's forgiveness, and there's repentance, and there's all those good things. And I have to remember that I am raising boys. I'm training them to be strong, brave leaders, men who love God, who do justice and love kindness and walk humbly with our God, as Micah 6:8 says. And that takes work. And work will test your patience. Work will test your endurance. But work is a good thing. Adam and Eve were called to work the ground. They were called to take care of the garden. And so that was God's plan from the beginning. You know, being a homeschool mom, there's going to be not just the paperwork and the bookwork and the lesson planning and the teaching and whatever. There's going to be a lot of character stuff that really tests your patience. But it's a good and holy work. And the last thing I do not have is insanity, which some might beg to differ. But like I said, it's a good insanity. So I do have a life outside of homeschool. I do have friends. I do have hobbies that I enjoy. Homeschool isn't my life. It hasn't consumed me. It is something I love and I am very passionate about, but it is not everything. And, you know, I still take date nights with my husband. Well, COVID's kind of messed that up recently, but we do still, you know, we have a good, healthy marriage. And, you know, being with my kids, a lot of people would say, oh, being with my kids all the time, I would just go crazy. Are there times when I want to go crazy? Yeah. And I feel a little nuts. Yeah. And do I really love bedtime when it's quiet in my house at night? Oh, yeah. But being with my kids, it's kind of that iron sharpening iron thing. It's kind of that, you know, rocks in a tumbler type thing where, you know, I'm helping to mold them and to make them and to sand off those rough edges of their character, and to try to show them the way of the Father. But as I'm doing that, it's softening me and molding me and making me more like Christ also. And that's a good thing. Again, it's not fun always. And there's times when I feel super crazy. But it is, again, the good work. And it is, you know, marriage is super sanctifying, and staying home with your kids is also super sanctifying. But all of that to say, it's not easy, but you can do it. If God has brought you here, He will make a way for you to do this. So there is a huge community on YouTube, on Facebook. There's different pages. If you are stepping into this journey, I know any one of us would be more than happy to help you and support you and answer any questions you may have. So hit me up if that is you. Leave comments down below or message me, and I would love to talk to you. But anyway, I thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to check out Jen's channel, which I will link down below. Check out the playlist down below where you'll get a lot of encouragement from a lot of other moms about homeschooling. And if you are a homeschool YouTuber, check out that homeschooling YouTubers Facebook page. I thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.